The Curse of Fenric is another highlight of Doctor Who's original final season. The characters are darker and more complex than usual, there are some thrilling action scenes, and the location filming gives it an epic scale. Like Ghostlight, it packs in a lot of story, and can be a bit hard to follow at times. At the time it was broadcast, my younger self hated the first episode, but grew to love it, and eventually gave it 9 out of 10. But the question is, will I feel the same now? The setting is a coastal town in England during World War II, but that's really just a backdrop. The war is not hugely relevant to the actual story. Russian troops invade at the start. The first time round I thought they were meant to be Germans, as that would have made more sense. They are there to steal the Ultima machine, a clear reference to the real-life Enigma, but little do they know it's been booby-trapped with poison, set to go off if a specific word is decoded. The only problem is the poison glows bright green, so it's clearly visible to anybody who opens up the machine. In their spare time, Professor Judson and Commander Millington are also using the Ultima machine to decode ancient Viking inscriptions, which were buried under the local church, revealing a curse that's been passed down through countless generations. What the curse actually is a bit vague, but at least it makes for a good title. Before they can steal the machine, the Russians are killed off one by one by sea monsters, which turn out to be hemovores from Earth's distant future, who were transported back through the centuries to become the origin of vampire myths. At least I think that's what they're implying. Eventually they attack the church, and it is revealed that the true evil is Fenric, one of those ancient evil forces that the Doctor imprisoned centuries ago. And this is all the culmination of a centuries-long plan for him to break free. And he succeeds, but the Doctor manages to manipulate events so that he wins again, and he is destroyed. Ace undergoes something of a coming of age in this story. At the start, she's keen to hang out with the other teenage girls, but not to go swimming with them, possibly because she nearly drowned last time, but there is definitely the implication that they are sexually active, and once the hemovores get to them, they become seductive sirens, luring soldiers to their deaths. But Ace also grows up, chatting up a guard with weird non sequiturs that make no sense, like the 1940s equivalent of a manic pixie dream girl. She also has a bit of a will they, won't they romance with Captain Sorin, but that's really only a couple of scenes and doesn't really go anywhere. But it's still more build-up than the romance between Leela and Aldred. Ace also bonds with Kathleen and her baby, who turns out to be Ace's mother, who she hates for reasons which have never been fully explained. Maybe it's better that way. At the end, she finally goes swimming, metaphorically overcoming her fears of growing up. The Doctor's manipulative side is back to the forefront here. It seems he doesn't know about the presence of Ace's mother beforehand, as that's all part of Fenric's plan. But once he figures out that his ancient contest is back on, he goes into full trickster mode, and ends up brutally tearing down Ace's entire sense of self-worth in order to win. Ace forgives him at the end, but I'm not entirely sure she should have. If the series had been structured like New Who, then maybe they could have had a few episodes of her not trusting him as much. But as it is, I guess they had to restore the status quo at the end. The big guest star is Nicholas Parsons as Reverend Wainwright. He was mainly known for game shows and light entertainment at the time, but this is a solid performance. The vicar is a troubled soul who's losing his faith, and it's depicted very sensitively. Dinsdale Landon as Dr. Judson manages to be very likeable as this eccentric genius, only to turn cold and harsh once he's possessed by Fenric. And Alfred Lynch as Commander Millington is another complex character who becomes obsessed with the prophecies and determined to fight the final battle between good and evil. It's possible he's been manipulated by Fenric in his actions, but maybe not. As with Battlefield, the location shooting adds a huge amount. There are multiple scenes at the beach with atmospheric underwater filming, plus an army camp, a church, underground tunnels lined with shells. It all definitely adds to the period atmosphere. The hemovores are a well-realised monster, with their stone faces and long nails, and the scene where they attack the church is a standout action set piece, with hordes of them beating down the door while Ace escapes on the rope ladder. It's a shame we never get to see Sorin staking them all, but maybe that was a bit too strong for 1989. A few years later, Buffy the Vampire Slayer would come along, and that sort of thing would become mainstream. The DVD's a 2-disc set, with 45 minutes of extras on disc 1, and about an hour on disc 2. Modelling the Dead is a brief feature showing how they made a hemovore mask. Cause and Effect is made up of VHS quality footage they took when they were scouting the locations. It's a bit dull, but then it's livened up with some tests of melting masks at the end. There's footage from a 1990 convention, which is about the closest we get to a making of. We see Sophie Aldred and one of the girls talking about swimming in the freezing cold. Ian Briggs talking about the writing, and the actor who played Sorin talks about being typecast as a villain. A short clip from Take 2 with Philip Schofield shows a production meeting, even more of the latex masks, and a brief interview with Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred on location. On disc 2, Shattering the Chains, has Ian Briggs talking about his inspirations like Alan Turing, the themes of faith and sexuality, and what it was like attending the location filming. And he said it suffers from a lack of time and money, which is probably right. Recutting the Runes has Mark Ayres talking about making a special edition, and the costume designer talks about doing the period costumes and all the Haemovores. But the highlight of disc 2 is the special edition, which lasts for 105 minutes. It's much better than the original 4-parter, it looks cleaner, the story flows much more smoothly, and it all makes a lot more sense. So if you're only going to watch one version, then that's the one to watch. Overall, another very strong story with lots of action and important character developments for Race and the Doctor. I'll give it 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy my reviews, you may want to check out my Patreon, where I am currently reviewing 7th Doctor audio stories, as well as the latest episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Next week on this channel, the final classic Doctor Who story, Survival. It's the end of an era. Do join me here for that, and I'll see you next time.